But at this point, have you just lost confidence in the squad?
I've lost all confidence in this squad.
All?
This team looks like a shell of itself, a team with no identity. Listen, this was a team that we talked about their offense and defensive lines and how dominant they were. They haven't lost anybody. Okay, they lost Hargrove, but they brought Jalen Carter in, so we thought that was a fix. This is a team that's getting punched in the face. Like, once you lose your identity as the bully, it is hard for you to beat teams and for teams to have fear of you, right? We've been trying to say, okay, they're going to fix it. They're going to fix it. Oh, don't worry. They just lost to the Jets. They're fine. They're fine. Now they've lost, 4 out of their last 5? And then they get punked, right? James Conner rushed for 128 yards. And then Michael Carter, who got cut by the Jets, ran for 61. He was running when they knew that they had to run the ball. Like, Matt Patricia is coming in, and this doesn't – I don't recognize this team. I don't recognize his identity. These are supposed to be the bullies. These are supposed to be Debo, right? This is supposed to be the team that can physically match up with San Francisco when you think of their defensive line, their great offensive line. This was a team that told us that, that they would have beat San Francisco with or without an injured Brock Purdy. It doesn't look that way right now, and they played a lot of football. Jalen Hurts hasn't looked healthy, and I say all the time, the way that you break up a dynasty or a team that's in their window is either by taking their players, Gardner Johnson, Hargrove, they took their linebacker, or you take their coaches. So they took their coaches, and you can have the same play. Yeah, you can have the same playbook, but when it's somebody else calling them, it's not about what you call, it's when you call them. It's about game planning. It's about being able to have great game plans. And clearly, it's a diluted version when you look at the 2 coordinators that they lost and they haven't been able to get that magic. Because the players are pretty much identical. They're the same. You talk about a team that led the league in sacks last year. Now they're like a shell of themselves. And I don't think they know how to fix it, and they're running out of time. And that's why you see A.J. Brown with the bad body language. Even while he's doing the interview, his arms are crossed, because he's looking to the left because he's trying to make it up.
Stop.
That's creating part of the brain, right? Body language.
You are not the psych major here. I am. Okay. All right. I agree with you that watching the Eagles, they do look like a shell of themselves. They were the bully. They were the team that could have its way with you on offense and defense. But in defense of the Eagles, a few weeks ago, what was their record? 10-1. You talk about how the players are still there. These are the same guys. Jalen Hurts is still, he has not looked the same this season as he did last year. But he is a guy that I can count on. That's a quarterback that I feel like when you look at the quarterbacks in the field, we have a lot of backup quarterbacks. We're literally saying Joe Flacco can quarterback the Browns to the Super Bowl. We're looking. Agreed. But again, you said the players are still in that locker room. They didn't just forget how to play football. It's on them. The same way I say it's on the Cowboys, it's on the Eagles. Like, everything they want is there. Now, I agree with you with the coaches, because it's not just Jonathan Gannon. It's not just Shane Steichen. Denard Wilson leaving that secondary, when guys like Darius Slay were like, he should be our coordinator, him going to Baltimore, that has had an effect, because when you look at this team, they got 6 first-rounders on the defensive front. They can't get to the quarterback, and they can't stop explosive plays in the backfield. It's a mess right now. But I still feel like this is a team that was in the Super Bowl last year. A lot of these teams right now, when you're talking about playoff time is different, Bart, you know it. Can't wait. You know the playoffs are different. The atmosphere is different. The stakes are higher. You want to have that playoff pedigree, and you want
to be playing well going into the playoffs.
I agree with you.
It's a nice soliloquy. And the reality is that you're not necessarily wrong, but you almost sound like an apologist for the Philadelphia Eagles, Kimberley, and I'm not giving them that. I'm with you from the standpoint that, I'm still holding out hope, but it's not like Bart is off based on what he's saying. Let's take things into consideration. The Eagles gave up, 128 yards to James Conner last week, right? That was a season high that they gave up, all right? They gave up an average of over 115 yards rushing the 3 previous games. Last week, they gave up 221 yards rushing. So what you're showing is that you're weak against the run, which is not a good thing to have as a liability in the NFC conference or in football overall, by the way. But then let's take a couple of other things into consideration in the process of them losing 4 of their last 5 games. Philly's defense allowed 49% on third down conversions and have allowed 12 touchdowns in 16 red zone opportunities. That is just bad. There is no way around that. And so what we're seeing is, whether it's due to injuries, whether it's due to departures, etc., they don't have the personnel. They don't have things together schematically. We know that just by Matt Patricia being there, by the way. They don't have things together schematically or with their personnel to give you any reason to have faith in them when it comes to Dallas, when it comes to San Francisco, hell, when it comes to Detroit. That's how I'm looking at them right now. Because remember, those would be road games if Dallas wins the division. You brought up Jalen Hurts, all right? Jalen Hurts hasn't looked like he looked last year. We all know that when he was a runner-up for league MVP. Oh, by the way, they started out 3 of the first 4 weeks of the season squeezing by New England, squeezing by Minnesota, squeezing by the Washington Commanders. We were lamenting how different the Eagles looked this season compared to last season from opening tap of the NFL season this year. From week 1, we looked at them. We said, damn, they squeezed by New England. What the hell was that about? We expected more from them. They got by Minnesota. We expected more from them. The Washington Commanders gave them a run for their money. We expected more from them. We were saying that from opening tap throughout the season, okay? If Valdez-Scantling doesn't drop a touchdown pass, they lose that game to Kansas City. That's a loss. And so we've looked at them, and there have been a plethora of situations this season where the Eagles have been a shell of themselves. The reasons are things that you both have already articulated. Fair enough. But the only thing I can say about the Eagles right now is this. There's a reason to count them out. And because of that, that could be the momentum that they need. I'm playing with house money now. We ain't what we used to be. Everybody's counted us out. And in the game of football, sometimes that is a mistake. That is the only good thing I could say about the Eagles right now.
Which quarterback's legacy is most on the line in these playoffs?
For me, it's Lamar Jackson, and that's not because I think he has something to prove relative to these other quarterbacks. I've long been a believer in his individual greatness, and it's exciting to see that come to fruition with his team this year. But it's because of that team that I feel like this particular playoff run matters so much. Getting to the Super Bowl, and when we talk about Lamar's legacy, he is now in that territory where he's going to win his second MVP. He needs a Super Bowl ring. I think we can all agree. This might be the best chance he ever has. I have seen great quarterbacks' windows shut because of the teams around him. And when I look at the NFL right now, when I look at this Baltimore Ravens team, they're so clearly the class of not just the conference, but the league. Next year, you never know what the roster will look like. Their defensive coordinator, Mike McDonald, he's going to be gone. He's a head coach, so that unit will take a hit. They're still going to be good. I want to be clear. But the path right now is so clear for Lamar to win his ring. And for me, when I think about his legacy and the opportunity that sits in front of him, he is the one who has a chance to grasp something really special.
I get where you're coming from, Mina Kimes, but I must say, as wonderful as it is to see you on this show, I'm very disappointed in what you just articulated. I'm very disappointed. I mean, no. We're not letting this off the hook. Dak Prescott is the quarterback whose legacy is most on the line. Oh, no, we ain't letting them off the hook. So let's understand something. The Philadelphia Eagles had an outside chance to do some things last year, win the division, whatever the case may be. What did Dak Prescott do? A career-worst 38% completion of his passes for 128 yards of TD and an interception. Who was that against? That was against the Washington Commanders. When was that? Week 18. Last season. Just happened. It's very, very fresh in my mind. I mean, that's what transpired. Now, let me throw this at you because I knew Mina was coming on this show, so I had to make sure I had my stats ready. For you, Mina. Did you know that Dak Prescott is the quarterback with the highest career regular season winning percentage for a quarterback who's never played in the conference championship game? I mean, never played the conference championship game. Did you know that? Nobody's won more. Nobody's won more percentage-wise than Dak Prescott.
He's really good.
You understand what I'm saying? I mean, they're really, really good. Really, really good until it counts. And then all of a sudden, there's the nosedive that comes in. Did you know that Dak Prescott has the 4th worst January record among quarterbacks in the Super Bowl era? Only Carson Palmer, Kerry Collins, and Andy Dalton have been worse. I'm sorry. America's team, The billion-dollar playpen that's AT&T Stadium, Jerry World, Jerry Jones as the owner, Dallas Cowboys division crown on the line. We know how they've looked when they went on the road for the most part this season. We know they've been beating up on cellar dwellers. And then all of a sudden, you got a game on the line this weekend, and you gonna go and stink up the joint? Oh, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're gonna look at the Dallas Cowboys and elevate them to the status, the headlines, and the hype puts them at, okay? I get your point about Lamar Jackson. I don't necessarily disagree with it on its merits. I'm simply saying when you look at Dak Prescott and you look at the expectations and you look at all the bloviating, oh, you get to go and lose or wet the bed against the Washington Commanders in another Week 18 encounter? I don't think so. The answer to this question is Dak Prescott.
You know, Stephen A., I'm kind of surprised you actually went with Dak Prescott, considering the fact that your level of expectation as it relates to Dak and the Cowboys. You know, you always talk, this is a team, you always talk about what can go wrong, will go wrong in this particular situation. So, yeah, I'm kind of, I'm kind of suspect you went there. I'm kind of suspect you went there. Yeah, I get it. I get it. I get it. But I'm going to agree with Mina Kimes here with Lamar Jackson. And when I look at Lamar, think about it, he's probably going to win his second MVP, as Mina talked about. But instead of looking at it, spinning it from the negative perspective, I'm going to look at it from the positive perspective, because you talk about Lamar, you go out here, and we talk about all the times there's levels.
Yep.
There's levels to, you know, different quarterbacks. There's level like Hall of Fame. There's always levels when we talk about pro sports. And so you're Lamar Jackson. You go in and you win the second MVP. Okay, you go out here and finish the deal, and you win a Super Bowl to go along with that MVP. Now the conversation changes when we talk.
Another tier.
It's another tier when we talk about Lamar Jackson. Because right now when we talk about Lamar Jackson, he's like Peyton Manning. We mentioned Peyton Manning in the postseason because I believe they were both like at the same time. They're 1-3.
Yep.
But if Lamar Jackson goes out here with everything working in his favor, we'll be talking about Lamar Jackson a whole nother tier with in that discussion moving forward.
Absolutely, Mina.
Our expectations for Lamar are Super Bowl. I don't think those are our expectations for the Dallas Cowboys at this point. I think we all agree. The Baltimore Ravens are the overwhelming favorite right now they're not the overwhelming favorite, and they're the overwhelming favorite to get there from the AFC with good reason. Damian, you know how hard it is to get there and then to get back there. Once that opportunity is so close, and I think we all agree it is there for Lamar Jackson this year. And to your point, when we're talking about his legacy, which could be something truly special, the expectations and the pressure have to come with it. And that is not a judgment on Lamar. That is, as Damian said, an opportunity.